Hi, my name is Dawn Taylor. I am the Assistant Director of Ivy Cares, and we have Tammy Robbins here talking about financial literacy.
Good morning. I'm the Director of Financial Aid at the Muncie and Henry County campuses, and we're going to talk about what you need to know about financial aid. The topics we're going to discuss are what is financial aid, the cost of attendance, EFC, I'm sure everybody's heard that before, expected family contribution, financial need, categories, types, and sources of financial aid, the FAFSA, the free application for federal student aid, and special circumstances. So what is financial aid? Financial aid consists of funds provided to students and families to help pay for post-secondary educational expenses. It is the funds that help you get through college, to help you pay for college. What is the cost of attendance? I'm sure you've heard cost of attendance. It includes tuition and fees, room and board, books and supplies, transportation, miscellaneous, and personal expenses. So all of this is added together to get your cost of attendance. So if you're a dependent student living at home, your room and board under cost of attendance is not going to be as high as an independent student who pays for their home or pays rent, or even a dependent student who's under the age of 24 that does not live at home. So cost of attendance, it varies. And what is expected family contribution, or EFC? It's the measurement of students and families' ability to pay for college expenses. There's the student contribution. If you're an independent student, that's all you're looking at is the student contribution. What's expected of you to be able to contribute to your educational expenses. But if you are a dependent student, you're looking at the parent contribution for the EFC. Now, if you do work as a dependent student, that's going to be calculated in there, but normally it's the bigger portion is the parent portion. So financial need is cost of attendance. So all those things added together minus the EFC, the expected family contribution, that's where you get your financial need or unmet need. There are different types of financial aid. There's self-help aid where you apply for a loan. It's still considered financial aid. So when you get a subsidized or unsubsidized loan, that is considered financial aid, and it's got all the stipulations of aid. There's also work-study employment, which I do want to address for a minute. Work-study employment is a great thing for students to engage in. It's a job with the college. If your application is picked and you, let's say financial aid's looking for a work study to help us out, you can put that on, when you go for a job, you can put that on your resume that I worked in the financial aid office at Ivy Tech Community College. It's great for a resume. You are paid with federal dollars, but you are paid just like everyone else through HR at the college. And like I said, it is a job. It is an employment. There are also scholarships and grants, which are gift aid. You don't have to pay those back. Work study, you don't pay back either, you earn. So while you pay back loans for the self-help aid, work study employment, you earn that money. And then the sources of financial aid, there's the federal government, Pell Grants and stuff. Most people have heard of those. There's state aid, college and university scholarships, and private sources. The federal government is the largest source of financial aid. It's provided primarily on the basis of financial need. That's where that EFC comes in. So the higher your EFC is, the less aid you'll be eligible for. If your EFC is 0, you get the full maximum amount. You must apply each year using the FAFSA, and eligibility requirements must be met. And when we're talking about eligibility requirements, we're talking about you have to be in a program that's financial aid eligible. So if you're in the nursing program, that's financial aid eligible. If you are in the healthcare science, TC, that's financial aid eligible, you know, general studies. But a general studies TC is not financial aid eligible. So you're going to talk with your advisor and make sure you get into the right program. The federal aid programs are federal Pell Grant, the most well-known source out there of grant aid is the Pell Grant. Then there's the SEOG, the supplemental grant, and like it says, it's a supplemental grant given to specific students. There are certain criteria that you must meet. You have to be a 0 EFC and things like that. We get a certain bucket of that every year. And what we do is we put it on the students that are eligible until it runs out. You only get so much, so you use it until it runs out. The federal work study program, which we've discussed a little bit, direct loans, which are subsidized and unsubsidized. The difference between those is that a subsidized does not accrue interest while you're in school. The unsubsidized does. And then the plus loans, which are parent loans, if you're parent. And they're the only loans that look at like a credit history or anything like that. Then there's the Indiana State Financial Aid. Residency requirements apply. You must be an Indiana resident to get Indiana State Financial Aid. It's provided on the basis of both merit, like 21st Century Scholars, and need. Like the O'Bannon grant, that's going to be based on your EFC. The 21st Century does take the EFC into, it looks at the EFC, but there are also other criteria that you must meet, and you start in the 8th grade. So this starts in the 8th grade and it follows you all the way through, and as long as you do what is asked of you, then you can be eligible for the 21st Century. State aid uses information from the FAFSA. Even though it's a federal application, that's where they pull their information to. The state deadline is April 15th. There are a couple state programs like the Workforce Ready Grant that does not have that deadline. But if you're thinking state aid, normally April 15th is the deadline, and you really want to get your FAFSA in by then. When you hear that deadline, that's not for federal aid. That deadline is for state aid. So if you miss the April 15th deadline, that doesn't preclude you from getting federal aid. You can do a federal application throughout the entire year. And then we have our own types of scholarships. We have a foundation scholarships that you can access and you can apply for on MyIV. If you go on MyIV under financial aid, there's a tab that says apply for scholarships. So you'll want to click on that. And when you go through that application, it will match you to the scholarships that we have out there. So you don't have to apply for separate scholarships. Everything you put in that application is going to feed into the system, and you'll be selected for the scholarships for which you are eligible. I can give you a little hint, always do the essay. They're not looking for a huge long essay. Just tell us a little bit about yourself and what you plan to do with the degree that you're pursuing, or the technical certificate, whatever it is. Just want to hear just a little bit about you. makes the selection process a little easier. And then we have Ivy Tech scholarships. If there is a point in time when you're having some issues, come see us and see if maybe we can help you out a little bit. And then of course, Ivy Cares. Ivy Cares is the place to start. If you, they will not oversee the foundation scholarships. That is on my Ivy, and you'll want to go through the application, but there are other sources out there, and Ivy Cares is the place to start, and they have their own application. And Dawn can speak to that, but that is the place that you are going to want to start. And then there's private sources, community foundations. A lot of students get high school scholarships as they come out of high school. Maybe they've applied for some scholarships in high school and they get to bring that with them. But you'll have to look at your school, or, there are even some scholarships that you can apply for online. I think scholarship.com. But you'll want to begin researching that early, because it takes them some time to determine who they are going to give scholarships to. Now we're going to talk a little bit about the FAFSA and some of what it requests from you so that you're prepared when you go to fill it out. What it does is it collects demographic and financial information. This information is used to calculate your EFC. And that's what we use to offer aid. What your EFC is, we know how much aid, how much loans, things like that. And the FAFSA can be filled out this year, October 1st. No earlier than October 1st. But since we use for the 21-22 year, that's next year, next fall on, this year, the 2021, we use 2018 taxes. For the 21-22 year, it'll be 19 taxes. So your taxes should already be done. So that is why you're able to fill out the FAFSA much earlier than what used to be 4 or 5 years ago. And the ways that you can fill out the FAFSA are FAFSA on the web, which is the one that is used the most popular, and in my opinion, the best way to go. Then there's the My FAFSA via My Student Aid mobile app you can get on your phone. And then there's always the paper FAFSA or FAFSA on the phone. I've never seen anyone use FAFSA on the phone. To me, it sounds very difficult, but I've never seen it done, so. The benefits of using FAFSA on the web, they have built-in edits to prevent errors. They also, like if they know that you answered a question wrong or put the wrong information in a question, it catches it. If you answer with a word instead of a number, things like that, that is something that if you do it on paper, now you got to send it in, wait for them to process it, and send you back a letter letting you know, oh, wait, there are mistakes made. So you'll want to think about it. The best way really is to do it on the web. It allows you to skip questions that a paper app would not allow you to do. And you can use the data retrieval tool. We call it the DRT, and it pulls the information from your taxes into your FAFSA. So much easier than trying to figure out which line of the taxes the information comes from, because tax forms change, as everybody knows, every single year. So the same data that you would find on line, let's say 7B on 2018 is on a completely different line on 19 taxes. So if you can use that data retrieval tool, please do. Another benefit is it's a more timely submission. I mean, it's going to take them a while to get that paper app, you know, go through it, because somebody's got to go through it line by line by line. And you have the ability to go out, if you do it on the web, you have the ability to go out. Let's say you're thinking later on, oh my goodness, I think I answered that question wrong. You can go out there and fix it. If it's on the web, well, you would have to wait until after the submission for the paper one and then send in a correction. It would take a lot of time. So this is kind of what it looks like. There's the website. If you're new, you just push start here. If you're returning, I hope you saved all of your information to log in. That's one thing. You do this once a year. You've got to save that information where you can find it, because it really is sometimes a little difficult to get back in. Once you have to change your information, it's not as easy to get back in, and it takes some time, and sometimes phone calls to FAFSA to do so. And then here's just another login. Either you're the student or you're the parent or preparer, but if you're the parent, you also have to have a FAFSA login, because you're going to put your information in there. And then this is what the mobile app looks like. Kind of the same thing. I'm the parent, I'm the student, I'm a preparer. So the data retrieval tool, I think I talked a little bit about this. It'll transfer your records right in to the FAFSA. You don't have to wait. You don't have to search through tax forms. That's got to be the best part of it. Find out, you know, which schedule has this and which schedule has that. It's so much easier if you can use it. There are certain times it will not let you use it, and some of those instances did not indicate on the FAFSA that you completed a tax return. So if you're going through the FAFSA, and if you made a mistake, you can jump back there, fix it if you're on FAFSA on the web, and then it'll let you use it. But if you didn't complete your taxes for the correct year, then it's not going to let you use it because they're not there. Filed a non-US tax return. Married and filed as head of household or separate returns. One of our biggest issues is when a married person files as head of household, because that is a very limited thing. Most married people cannot file as head of household. There are very limited instances, and that's if you're separated and no way are you getting back together. We've had people who the husband may be in the armed forces and he's off, you know, to wherever he's off to. They sent him, and then the wife's at home and she files head of household because at that time they're not living together, but that doesn't mean that he won't be coming back. So that's not a head of household instance. Or neither married parent entered a valid Social Security number. Or the parent's married status as unmarried and both legal parents are living together. So let's say your parents are not married, but they're living together, you still have to put both parents' information. Now, if your mom is living with her boyfriend, you know, you would, in that instance, it would be mom's information. But if your parents are living together, even if they're not in a married status, they do have to put both information because your parents are living together. Your FAFSA ID is something that you create when you go in onto the FAFSA. It gets you in, it gets you back in. You have to have one. That's how you sign your FAFSA. So the information that the general student information includes Social Security number, citizenship status, marital status, drug conviction or possession oh my goodness, drug conviction of possession or sale. So I would not shy away from filing a FAFSA because you've had a drug conviction, because it's going to be based on the time period and the drug conviction. So don't shy away from doing a FAFSA. It's, you know, the answer might be no, but it might also be yes. Selective service registration, yes, you must register for selective service still. And the highest education level completed by your mom or dad. Mom and dad. The dependency status is determined by how you answer the questions. If you answer all no, you're a dependent, meaning you don't have children, you're not over the age of 24, things like that. The information about parents for dependent students. They're going to look at the tax, income, other financial information, assets, whether they're a dislocated worker, on something like SSI, or untaxed income. And then it's about the same for the spouse of a student. So if you're married, they're going to want your spouse's information also. And signatures are required. We'll get some FAFSAs that come through and they'll be rejected because the signatures aren't there. Must be signed, if you're a dependent student, by the student and by at least one of the parents. If you're independent, you're just going to sign it. But if you are a dependent student, your parent must sign it with their FAFSA ID also. So the way that you can submit signatures are electronic using that FAFSA ID, a signature page if you're doing a paper app, and frequent FAFSA errors. If you are doing a FAFSA, make sure that you look and your Social Security is right, number's right, that the income is right, that the household size is right. These, on this list, these are some of the most important elements of an EFC. And if one's wrong, then you're going to have to go out and fix your FAFSA, or you'll be picked for verification, which there's a chance you'll be picked anyway. It is at random, but if there is an issue, then you are much more likely to be picked for verification. And so you need to have these things correct. So please take the time to look back through. The CPS, once they get your FAFSA, it's a central processing service. Once they get that FAFSA and they work that FAFSA, they're going to send us a form and they're going to send you a form. The SAR is the one that will come to you, Student Aid Report. That is the report of the elements of the FAFSA and your EFC. It's normally, if you do FAFSA on the web and you put an email in there, it's sent to your email. But you'll get one through the mail if you don't put an email. And then they send us what's called an ICER. And they just, it's the same thing. It shows us your EFC, it loads into our system. We can see all the different elements of that FAFSA that you filed. So when you do call us and say, hey, there's an issue with this, we can look out there and see what the issue is and tell you what to do, help you to correct it. If you need to make corrections, you can do it on the web if you use FAFSA on the web. You can do it by updating your SAR on paper and sending it in, and you can come in and see us. And there are times that I can go out and I can fix your FAFSA. It's a limited amount, you know, of issues that I can fix, but there are things that I do have to go out and fix for you. Special circumstances. Special circumstances are conditions that exist that cannot be documented with the FAFSA. And let's talk about that for a minute. A special circumstance would be a parent death, or both parents have passed away, so you can't use their information. That would be, you know, a special circumstances to review your dependency status and make you an independent student. Or the death of a spouse. I've done special circumstances for those. You would contact me. I do most of those myself. And I would get you the paperwork that you need and let you know these are the documents that I need to be able to approve. When you're thinking special circumstance, you need to think of it like this. You're telling us that your circumstances are so different than everybody else that used, you know, that are in, you know, the same boat as you. Your circumstances are so different that we need to make a special exception. So everything that you put in your statement to me, telling me what your special circumstances will have to be proven. So I'll ask for certain documents. Sometimes it is you know, through this whole pandemic, some people have really lost some income. And so their income from 2000, you know, using the 2018 taxes is not going to show the position that they're in today. And so I might be able to look at that. Or even the loss of a job, and your 19 taxes will show better your situation now than what your 18 taxes did. And I might be able to do a special circumstance on your 19 taxes. And then there's, of course, the dependency overrides. If you've ever been designated an unaccompanied youth by your high school, you know, you would bring a form in to me. We have a form that your counselor or the McKinney-Vento liaison would fill out, and it would make you an independent student. Like I talked before, an orphan, ward of the court, things like that. So if you've got any circumstance that you believe I need to know about, please let me know. Or anyone in financial aid. You'll just tell us a little bit about your situation. We'll talk through it, and we will let you know what you need to give us so that we can get that taken care of for you and kind of put you in a better circumstance. So I have a question slide here, but I don't think I have any questions. So I'm going to give it back to Dawn. If you ever have any questions, please contact the financial aid office. My name is Tammy Robbins. We also have Justin Gray and Nikki Roberts. So if you need to talk to us, you can get a hold of us by email, by phone. Somebody is usually always here at the campus, even though we're a little bit spread out right now. Some of us work at home certain days, but someone is usually here. So you can always try to get a hold of us. We would love to help you out. Thank you.
What's the email that they can use?
It is, I don't have it. It's a financial aid email. I'm going to stop sharing right now, and I'm going to get that for you, okay?
And you can also find it on my Ivy.
You can, but let me find it for you.
Okay.
It's much better.
And if you need help from Ivy Cares, we are at ivytech.edu /Ivy Cares.
It is not letting me get off of here. Well, there we go. Sorry about that. I didn't really address our VA, but Justin Gray is our new certifying official. And he's also someone that, and I don't know if Dawn, you have our business cards, but we'll be happy to bring some of those over to you so that you do have the information that you need.
That would be great.
I'm trying. Nikki usually answers that financial aid email, but it's the best email to go through because it's always answered in a timely manner. It gets very busy when we get to the beginning of a semester. Dawn, can I send that to you in a little bit and you get that on there, or is that okay?
Absolutely. Nope, that's fine. And we'll make it available with the transcript. So, well, thank you for sharing. Oh, we have a question for you.
Are we still being recorded?
Yes. Do you want to be recorded?
I want to ask this question off.
Okay. You can go ahead and hit the